So, as inconclusive and as askew as my viewpoint is, or may seem, I do these videos in an attempt to, accrue all the components of what I'm feeling, what I'm going through, and what I'm experiencing while living with BPD, borderline personality disorder. So some people might not know, but borderline personality disorder is a mood disorder that involves extreme extreme moods and uncontrollable emotions. And similar to bipolar disorder, they are uncontrollable. However, bipolar disorder is it's more elongated, so a person may be depressive for weeks or for months with bipolar, or they may be manic for weeks or months, as where a person with borderline personality disorder, their extreme moods, which there's a multitude of moods that one can be in and feel in an extreme way, those moods are moment to moment. Sometimes it could be a minute, sometimes it could be 5 minutes, sometimes it can be a week. It all just depends on coping mechanisms, which there are good coping mechanisms, there are bad coping mechanisms. I, of course, have mastered using the bad coping mechanisms because I never had the information. I never sought the information. I thought that what I was going through, experiencing, and feeling, I thought it was on some level normal. I knew that it was too much, and I've always felt overwhelmed. But I thought everyone kind of went through the exact same struggle with managing their moods, and there's no feeling that I've ever felt that I didn't think would last forever. When I have been extremely angry and volatile and full of rage, I felt like that would last forever. When I would look at myself in the mirror and not recognize the person who's looking back, I thought that would last forever. The emptiness and the boredom and the sense of unfulfillment and just the deep loneliness of not having anything or feeling like you have anything inside of you that is worth anything, I thought that would go on forever. And my point now is, I know for a fact, I know mentally and I know emotionally that all of my moods have a start and a finish. I can now regulate my moods a little bit better, due to medicine, of course, and as well as DBT therapy. For people who don't know, DBT therapy is dialectic behavioral therapy, and it is used for a multitude of issues, trauma, depression, King, okay, come here, for a multitude of things. And it is a type of therapy that is very collaborative, and it's extensive. It's usually a commitment of about a year or more, depending on your disorder. For my disorder, it's typically a year. I start DBT therapy this week, but I, being me, true to form, have looked up and bought books and read as much as I possibly can on DBT therapy so that I can be ready when I step in. And so with that said, I have gathered a lot of really good coping mechanisms. One of them being journaling. I'm constantly journaling. I'm constantly doing artwork. I am staying busy with my mind. I'm staying active. Petting this little stinker is really, really helpful, especially in high anxiety moments. When I get really, really intense anxiety, which is also another part of borderline personality disorder, but almost everyone in the world struggles from anxiety at some point. And DBT therapy instills the skills that one usually would learn at an earlier age, typically between 7 and 11, because that's the age in which you start to open your eyes to the world and other people's feelings and how you affect the world and other people. And so far, everything I've read has been so clear-cut, and it makes me somewhat feel like, oh my God, I should have known this. Oh my God, this is so simple. And I don't feel dumb. I just feel like I was robbed of a chunk of knowledge that I have somehow survived without, and somehow made a life, what I have of a life, from living without that, and without that chunk of knowledge. I have constantly been in fight or flight survival mode due to the fact that my amygdala, when you have borderline personality disorder, your amygdala and your central cortex, they don't communicate well, and your amygdala is in control of your emotions, your mood, and also your fight or flight response. Your central cortex is in charge of logic, inductive reasoning, and being able to, I guess, use your intelligent mind while using your logical mind, and then referring to your emotional mind. But with borderline personality disorder, I have my intelligent mind, of course, very knowledgeable. Everyone knows I've always been very knowledgeable. I've always been very communicative about that knowledge, and I've always been able to ascertain a high amount of information really, really quickly, easily, and been able to regurgitate that information effectively and in a way that almost anyone can understand. With that said, my logical mind is the one that has decided it wanted to take a, 14, 15-year rest. And I have somehow lived in survival mode and sponge information mode, where I'm just trying to suck up as much information so I can use it. And it's bounced back and forth between those. But now I'm gathering information, and I'm using that information in a very simple but kind of complex way. It's weird how I think, because my meds have slowed things down, my coping mechanisms have slowed things down, so the information trickles through my logical mind, and finally it hits my emotional mind. I have not had a borderline breakdown for about 2 weeks, which is the longest I've ever gone. To my knowledge, it is the longest that I've ever gone. Now, with that said, this is my borderline personality experience. This isn't something that everyone is going to feel. This isn't something that everyone who has borderline is going to deal with, or this isn't how everyone with borderline deals with their borderline. This is exclusively how I have been dealing with it. And it just so happens that I feel like I'm going by the book, because that's the only way I really know how to go with things. It's either by the book with me, or it's either completely impromptu. And with this, I've gone by the book. And I guess I want to say, for anyone who is struggling with this, I know that I'm early in recovery. Oh, thank you, Muffin. Thank you. I love you. I know that I'm early in recovery, but the steps that I have taken have been immense, and I feel it in every part of me. I feel it in my soul, I feel it in my mind, and I feel a future. I feel a confident, I feel a confident and viable future for myself, finally. And that's something I have never really felt. I've never really known what was going to be happening in a month, let alone in a week, let alone the next day. I have quit jobs instantly. I have moved across country instantly. I have broken up with people instantly. I have done so many things instantly without any logical thought. And that's not me anymore. And while it's weird getting to know this version of myself, this more in control version of myself, it's really beautiful because everything I've read and all the YouTube videos, Recovery Mum is a really good YouTube video. She has a British accent. Her background is usually pink, and she suffered from borderline personality disorder, as well as got her master's in psychology, and she wrote a book on DBT therapy and what it was like for her to have borderline personality disorder. So reference that if you ever feel like you need something to just watch and someone to just give you information from their point of view. She is perfect. It's Recovery Mum, like M-U-M, Mum, because she's British. That has been a coping mechanism of mine as well. And I just want you to know that keep fighting. It gets better. And I'm sure it's going to get worse at some point. But the better is so much better than not knowing and not understanding and living in fight or flight mode. And so with that, me and my muffin are going to sign off. Thank you.